Hi everyone, we are going to make an ostrich today, so I can't wait to show you this project. It is, I'd say, a level 2, 3, like moving on up, and yeah, they're wacky. They're almost as wacky as you are.
I was waiting for that.
You knew that was coming?
Yes. That's okay, I have a thick skin.
So, we're going to use the supply pack, and I have a few tools out here that I'll tell you about that you will need. But if you're not familiar with our channel, I hope you'll consider subscribing if you like the tutorial. And we have how many? 200 to 300?
It's a lot.
Felting videos, tons of information out there. And we also have a felting group on Facebook called Sarafina Felting Fanfare, where you are more than welcome. We share there and get inspired by each other. So that's that. Let's talk about what you need to make this project, and then we'll get started. Definitely need a little bit of experience, and some experience with some Sarafina tutorials is even better because I use my own tools, language, terminology, and techniques. So your familiarity with them will help you succeed. This is a relatively simple project and kit with a lot of impact because of how big they are and just how the black and white contrast. I'm going to use my felting surface. I have a variety of needles, and I'm going to use the Zuli tool and the Face Ace today. I also need something to make smaller, tight, little shapes. I have this wooden needle, but you can use, if you have a spindle or anything that gets on the smaller side. The tip of the Face Ace works as well, but sometimes a little bit thinner is better. This tutorial uses the plumage technique, which is a wire twisting technique to create feathers and plumage. And we're also using our product called fur, which is a long, smooth staple fiber that we created to be fur-like. And for that reason, I need some sharp scissors. So I have hair cutting scissors. If you have a good pair of fabric shears, those will work as well. The snips, if they're sharp, they can work also. So definitely make sure you have some sharp scissors, and then pliers for creating our armature. And then in a few places, I'm going to use this power wax. It's a cold wax, medium, and it helps us tighten down fiber, change the look. I use it on the beak and the toes to make it look shiny. I think that's it.
I don't know that it's it.
No? What did I forget?
Well, I have a few things to say.
Okay.
First of all, there's not really funny ostrich jokes on the internet.
Okay.
And
because our jokes are usually
those of you
hilarious.
Those of you who know my jokes, that's really saying something that they're not funny because, there's not a lot. Also, there's one I'd like to share.
Okay.
Why did the ostrich cross the road?
I don't know why.
To show the chicken how to do it with style. That's pretty much the only good one out there.
I can see it. I can see it.
So you'll be getting lots of ostrich information and facts from Kyla as I sleep, which I do best.
Yes. Good. Okay. Well, I look forward to that because they are super interesting, and there is a lot to understand about them.
They're whack.
They are like one of those creatures on Earth that just makes you shake your head and go, what? I'm looking at one more tool, so I'm backing up a little bit. I have the grab and stab because there's a few times that this is really handy. It's handy on any project with small detail, but I definitely picked it up several times, so I'm mentioning it. All right, we should get started. Thanks, Milo.
Yep.
I'm a little bit surprised these are still standing up. I have to warn you, they only have 2 toes, so they don't stand on their own. They need they need a prop. Although if you made them some scenery, it's not difficult to secure them to stand on their own.
If you get the perfect balance, you might be able to make it happen.
I'm going to lay this right there.
Talbot made it happen once.
And I'm going to use this one.
It's the only 2-toed bird in the whole world.
Oh, I didn't know that. Like, where did its other toes go? Did they fuse together? Because that's what happened to the koala. Are they from the same land? Wait, are there ostriches in Australia, or they're all in Africa?
Only in Africa.
Only in Africa. We are making a Somali ostrich, just to be specific. Your supply pack has is this called a QR code? Yeah. That takes you to the video. I mean, you can get to it in a lot of ways, but that is one way. All right, I'm going to tell you about what we have here, and then we're going to start the armature. We have 3 14 gauge wires. One is 30 inches and 2 are 24 inches. And then you have 6 26 gauge wires, and you'll see what all of these do, and 1 22 gauge wire. Which I'm completely forgetting. Oh, I remember what that's for now. And then this is the Payne's Gray core. So the majority of our ostrich is made with this core for wrapping and shapes. And then in this bundle, we have black core. The bundles are separated to keep the black and the white apart. That is the reasoning, meaning it's not about what goes where. So we have black core. We have the blue roan. This is one of the horse coats. It's totally perfect for this. And if you've never used one before, a great introduction to the texture of the horse coats. And then we have black fur. So for now, I'm going to set the fiber aside because we're, going to get into our armature here. And then this bundle has pomegranate for the beak, and sometimes they have a little bit of pink coming through on their skin, so just to play with. And the rust is for the eyes. It can also be mixed with the pomegranate. And then we have some Arctic fur, which is the white, and oats core, which is a blender and used to soften the grays in some areas. So the first thing that we're going to do is create our armature. The first wire makes the head, neck, and body. The second wire twists together at the shoulder, as almost all of my armatures do, comes down and makes the legs. And then the third wire goes over the back. It makes a little hump they do have an interesting shape to their body. They have a bit of a hump here and a really pronounced chest. So we want to make sure to get those shapes. And then it reinforces the leg wire. So the legs are 2 14 gauge wires twisted together. So the first thing that we want to do is get our 30-inch wire and find the center of it. Now, they have a sort of flat, wide beak and head. So I want to leave a 1-inch loop when I find my center. And I'm going to shape this into a diamond. And that's going to, using the armature, that's going to help me establish the shape of the head before we even add any wool. So I'm just going to leave that 1-inch loop for now. And I'm going to twist a total of 7.5 inches from the end to the end of the twist. I should get a ruler out. What do they eat?
I have that information right here.
That's why I turned to you and asked, because I knew you would.
Mostly plants.
Okay.
Leafy greens, flowering plants, roots, grasses, and succulents. Sometimes they snack on mice, frogs, and insects, like grasshoppers.
Mm-hmm. So to make the diamond, first I'm going to pinch the end closed as much as I can, and then I'm going to open it up about 1/2 inch back, so kind of in the center of that loop. So it's still a loop, but I'm trying to make this each end more of a point. I probably went one twist too far. I always get excited. I'm like, it's got to maybe be a little bit longer, but I shouldn't do that. I should stick to my measurements. Okay. Our second wire is 24 inches, and we're going to find the center. And then we take this mountaintop and we put, well, let's give our bird a direction. So this is going to be the front. So I want to put that point of this wire on the base of the neck from the front. And then I'm going to twist these two wires together 2.5 inches. But I want to twist them inward towards the body, like towards the inside of the body. So about 2.5 inches, you want to end with this facing down. So I'll do one more. And what this does is it gives us the distance back from their neck to where their legs come out. Their legs don't, usually we do like a 2-inch shoulder, right, or 2-twist shoulder right here, but their legs don't come out here. They come out halfway back to the body. And then on this side, we want to turn the wires inward as well. It just puts the leg wire in a good position. Okay. And then we want to create a 3-inch triangle to the back from this point, diamond, from this point to this point, and then just twist these together. And this is going to be his little tail. They're he's, by the way, the black and white ones.
You asked about them living in Africa, which they do, but they were released from farms, so there is a whole free-range population that has survived in Australia.
Oh, interesting.
So they're not native to Australia.
Just running around down there like, I don't know where we are. This doesn't feel right. Maybe I'll try a scorpion. Okay, find the center of the third wire, and then you want to leave a bump on top, about 1.5 inches, I'd say, from here to the 1.5 1.75 inches from here to the tip, and that's just going to give us a place to shove some wool and start making the shape of the body. And then on the legs, so hold that in place, and then we want to twist these two wires together about 7.5 inches. And don't worry about the length of the toes at this point.
It's a lot of twisting.
Yeah, it's a pretty big armature. Give this one more. Okay. And then you want a longer toe to be at least an inch. You know, I made these and I thought I could go probably a little bit longer. So you could even go 1.25 inches, or you can just make the toe. We're going to put a wire on as an actual toenail, and then the outside toe about 3/4 inch. Okay, so now we're going to start using our 26 gauge wires, and I want to take one down each leg. I'm going to start it on this back part of the diamond of the body, just get it going on there, and then wrap down the leg. I like to wrap in unison with the twist so that this wire just settles right into the twists. And then this is a little weird. It's a little hard to, it's not going to feel great in terms of this wire staying where you want it to be, but because there's no loop on these to tighten anything down, but you need to take the wire out the toe, give yourself a 1/4 inch toenail, and go back. And when I go back, I usually just fold it back. I don't try to wrap it around, but you could. I like to prevent a lot of buildup of wrapping of wire, especially where you need to keep something skinny. When I put my wool on, it's going to tighten it all down, so I don't really worry about it. And then we go out this toe and give ourselves a 1/4 inch and go back. And then I will just take this extra to anchor it and wrap it right in with the leg wire. Whoops, wrong one. So I just shoot about 1.5 inches, 2 inches out, start it on this back part of the body diamond, and go down the leg. It would be really easy to adapt this to a female if someone wanted to make a set. You just need some browns.
Okay.
Maybe use the, I'm thinking maybe the wolf fur or Sasquatch. Okay. They're just this mottled, the females are just a mottled brown.
Just looking at the size.
The females are bigger. I mean, I don't think it would be anything that you have to change.
This says males are larger, 7 to 9 feet in height.
I read that the females were bigger, so we're going to have to get to the bottom of that one.
Ostriches. Females tend to be shorter.
Maybe they're heavier?
That's what I'm looking at.
Okay, this wire is going to go from the tail up the neck and do something a little bit special on the beak. So I find it easiest to kind of start from the middle and see how much tail distance I need. And I need just enough to wrap out the tail and then fold back to try to sort of cover up those pointy edges a little bit. And then I take this right through the center. I don't do anything fancy on, these areas. I just take the wire right through the bird to the center, and then I'm going to wrap up the neck. And I always twist my neck wire the wrong way that I'm not used to wrapping. And then you should have enough. This might be a point when you might want to zoom in, Talbot, to come around one side of this head wire. And then we want to take this out and give yourself 1/8 of an inch to make an even pointier beak right here. So we're just extending this diamond shape, this triangle beak shape, by bringing this wire out 1/8 of an inch and then just continue around the head.
I'm seeing that males are bigger.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe what I saw was whack.
Males also stand taller. Just their posture.
Mm-hmm.
The females
Hunker.
Crouch a little bit. Yeah. And then the males stand up.
Like a bunch of young women in a photo. Okay.
They all crouch down.
We have a couple of bends in the leg just to create a hock, basically. So we're going to divide the leg by, pretty much in half. So it's about 3 inches from 3.5 inches and then 3.5 inches. So 3.5 inches down. And that should leave you probably about 4 inches because we twisted these 7.5. So that looks uneven. I got a longer leg already. Yep, 3.5 and 4. 4. Okay, I just made this. There we go. Okay, that is your armature. Now, we have a choice. I can start wrapping or I can make the plumes. I think I should make the plumes first.
It's more fun.
Yeah. So we're going to set our armature aside and use our other 3 26 gauge wires to make 3 plumes, and they are going to be each wing and the tail. So a lot of fun, super simple, and high impact. I like that. I like efficient, high impact. I'm going to get this out of the way because I don't need it at the moment. And the first thing to do is to prep some fiber. So the first 5 twists or so are going to be white. So we're going to take our Arctic fur, and I like to grab the wispy end and just pull that. And that way you know that this is all one length of fiber. If you were to grab it farther down and pull, that it might get longer and be, sort of more drafted out. So we want to make sure our fiber is stacked right on top of each other. And you can do about 3 stacks or so and then cut them in half. When I cut them in half, I like to put cut end to wispy end so it gets a little bit mixed up. But I'm going to make a few piles like that. So this is pretty much like 3 pulls each. And I can go ahead and use all of this. There's no reason to save it. Get this one on here. I wonder why. I wonder if the black and white is just for show for mating, because it's not camouflage. Mm-hmm. And like with zebras, it's camouflage because they run as a group and it gets confusing as to what's what. Okay, we're going to find the center of a 26 gauge wire, and I like to actually pinch it as tight as I can so that the wire actually closes on itself, but then open it back up. That's going to help. That's going to help get this as tight as it needs to be. Now, if you're not familiar with the plumage technique, I'm going to explain it now in as thoroughly as I can. Let's prepare some of our fiber first. So we want, if we were making a feather, we would want a super small amount. But since we're making more of a full plume, we want what I would describe as like 1/4 inch tufts. Not sure how to describe the quantity of a small section of fiber. But give yourself about 7 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So this is saying the dramatic coloring is for mating,
Yeah.
to attract the female.
Yeah. That makes sense. Put the center of a tuft into that bent wire so that the ends stick out as evenly as possible. Now, this is the trickiest part, is getting it started. So I'm going to pinch it as tightly as I can. It can help to use your pliers to pinch it, and then use your pliers to hold the very tip so that you twist this one full twist, locking that fiber in there. And then we just keep adding a tuft into that split wire. Pull it tight, like pull it all down on itself, brush it all this way. And then if you need to, use the pliers and then twist this one full twist. Going to help this ostrich attract some mates.
What it says
we're gonna
is,
do your plumage up right.
That's right. This says he sinks slowly to the ground, almost like he's bowing, and begins to wave and shake the feathers. Weight of first one wing, then the other, then he moves his tail up and down.
Oh, it's like building crescendo. Oh my gosh, that is so wacky.
I'm sure there's videos. Just be careful what you Google.
Okay, I think that was 7. I took a little bit of fiber out because I felt like some of them were thick. Now we're going to do this to 3, and you can see how it looks. You can see the twists, and the fiber kind of goes to each side. But don't worry, we have some tricks and tips to change the look of this. So I probably won't use all this fiber. I thought I would, but 3, 4. I think it's easier to pull them out, and then you don't have to count.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at first I said 5, but I feel better about 7.
There's going to be a lot of extra fiber.
Mm-hmm. So maybe if you want to keep a little Arctic for yourself, don't cut it all up. Don't listen to me. Always watch the video first.
Benefit of watching the video through first.
I have to act like I know sometimes, and then realize as I go.
Everyone who just watched the video first is feeling very good about it.
Yeah. They're like, ooh, I'm going to have some Arctic for something else.
This other paper I said I have regarding the courtship displays it says, besides the feather wing gyration, he also wildly waves his head in the in the midst of all of that. And then there's like female ostriches recording it and putting it on social media. Like,
can you believe this? What's with these male ostriches gyrating their wings and heads wildly? Look at all this.
Give a little extra. Good, that's a whole second set.
Yes, we try to make supply packs plentiful. That was a tongue twister. I chose the Somali ostrich because I wasn't digging all that. Some of the other subspecies, I guess they are maybe, or varieties, have a lot of pink.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's like another layer of contrast and pop.
The first one that you made years ago, was that pink?
I had pink legs but gray on the neck. That might have been a little bit of artistic freedom. I'm not sure. Okay, now we want to add black, and we need more. I like to do more black than white, so I will make 3 piles and probably use the whole thing. So I'm going to do 4 poles for each pile. It might be a little bit more than we need, but it gets put on the body as well, so this is such a fun part of this because it just comes together so easily. So these we want more like 11. Don't know what's up with the odd numbers, but that's just the way it is.
I have this whole list of jokes and they're just painful.
Oh, okay. Well,
I almost can't say them.
Okay, we don't have to. We don't have to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. We're trying to spread joy.
Not bad ostrich jokes. Or maybe my standards are just lowering as I sit here.
Like thrift shopping. Like, oh, this is cute. only relative to
Where you
everything
are.
else in the place.
There's a whole section of ostrich-themed pickup lines.
Oh, that could be interesting.
You would think so, but
no.
I mean,
our pickup lines. Some of them.
well, as we were just talking about the whole mating thing, so you'd think it's like good, but then. Are you an ostrich? Because when I'm around you, I can't help but bury my head in the sand. Like, what?
That's not a pickup
It's not.
line. That's a diss.
It's like, I'm so confused. Do you have a Band-Aid? Because I just tripped over the long neck of my affection for you. Like, what?
That's just bad imagery, all of it. Nobody wants to picture a Band-Aid.
It's not like an ostrich saying it to another ostrich either.
Okay, well, we're not going to turn.
This one's not terrible.
Okay.
It is, but it's the least terrible. Are you an ostrich enclosure? Because I can't resist the temptation to enter your territory.
That doesn't make any sense.
Ostriches are dangerous.
What corner of the internet did you find this on?
The ostrich corner. And there's a lot of ostrich stuff out there.
Oh, gosh.
People are like trying to make it happen with the ostrich references.
Nobody should. Not with those ones.
They are dangerous, though.
But, it's like, it's not general knowledge, and so it's not going to work.
There could be one ostrich lover out there who meets another ostrich lover who gets the enclosure.
The chances are you're not playing your odds right if that's the way you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whew, you're going to get floof in your nose. Here, will you do one of these?
Sure. But you're giving me all your... I could even pull them.
No, I'll get the next one ready. Hopefully you have a helper at home. It's not too bad. And it's not as tedious as feathers, because feathers you use such a small amount that you're just
forever. One full turn?
Yeah, like it's usually 2 movements, but yeah, 1 full turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The ostrich that I made a long time ago, she was very cute.
Mm-hmm.
And that was back when I had a lot of time to invest in my critters and my presentation and my photographs. And so her story was that she wanted to fly and couldn't. And so I made her little aviator goggles and helmet. It was very cute. Their eyes are huge. I think I read that the female has the biggest eye of any land animal.
Oh, really?
No. I've been wrong, but that is what I remember. And I was noticing as I was, learning more about them, that their wings are weird, because flight birds have flight feathers that are designed specifically for flight. And also the bone of their wing, which is their arm, is right up, up towards the front of the wing, and all of these sturdy feathers come off of that, and they're underneath and they're on top, and the whole thing. But the ostrich, if it were to open its arm up and you were to look under its arm, it's just all like fleshy, like this. but then just all this feather floof on top of it. So
it says they have a flattened sternum, a flattened breastbone.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So the sternum in flying birds is keel-shaped like the hull of a ship.
Oh, that makes sense.
And there's powerful wing muscles that are attached to it.
Now you can find the center and just give this a trim, because we have a little bit of wackiness. And we don't want to take a ton off, but just neaten it up a little bit. If you have the thinning shears, you can use those, but it's not really necessary because we sort of make this whole thing curly, and it's not like flat and neat. It needs to be kind of messed up. So this is where the water sprayer comes in. So I want to thank you. I want to separate these a little bit. Start disrupting that, and then spray it with water, and then crunch it. Like when you had a perm in the 80s. Activate that curl.
With Aussie scrunch spray. That's what I used.
The fiber has some mohair in it, which gets a nice curl. So let that dry, and I'll probably do it again. I think it does help to kind of figure out what's going where first. Oh, that was a good one. And then you want to look at them and see which two are the most the same, and use those for the two wings. And if one's a little bit different, give yourself the most symmetry at the wings and put the oddball on the tail.
You can see the fur flying.
Oh, gosh. But you can spend as much time as you want kind of fussing with this and manipulating it. This piece is a little long. Just don't go crazy on cutting it all off. All right, I'm going to put this. I'm going to put this one on the tail and those two. Okay. I should have mentioned at the beginning that it's not super important, but one of the mini stabbits is really helpful on this project because we got to stab in weird places and they're shaped weird. So having the mini stabbit is a big like sort of support and helpful in this situation. Okay, it is time to start wrapping. So we want to wrap everything in Payne's Gray. And to start, I like to take about an 8 or 9 inch piece, 2, 4, 6, 8, which is about as long as a regular stabbit. And this would work well to quarter. So 1 can go on the neck and thirds. 2 can go on the legs. And I just want to, actually, I need to back up just a little bit. We need to do the toes and the beak first. That would be the smartest thing. So the toes are going to be done in black core. So let's pull off a very small piece, like 2 inches. And then quarter that. And then you're going to just stretch these little quarters out into, this is called drafting, when you sort of pull the fibers away from each other to make the roving longer. And starting on a toe, this is what's going to help hold your wire down. You want to go out to the end of the 26 gauge bent wire and back. If you need to, you can put a little bit of cold wax medium on the wire. I don't usually do it until the end, but I'll show you how to do it. It just helps to put a little bit of cold wax medium on there, or swax if you have swax instead. And wrap out and I really press it down into itself and back. And I don't need to use this whole piece. I just want to make sure that this toenail is wrapped evenly and smoothly. So the wool lengths are a place to start. Sometimes you might need a little bit more. Sometimes you're going to pull some off and need a little bit less. It's not a requirement to use the amount of wool that we pull initially. So I keep this very thin, meaning in a narrow strip. I don't let it fan out. And that's the secret to getting these small places wrapped tightly. If you let it fan out, then you lose control over where the wool is going and it wants to slip over the ends.
There's also no ostrich proverbs.
What did you say? You said you did have something.
There are ostrich.
I thought you said there were ostrich proverbs.
Not proverbs. There's quotes and sayings. And
okay.
Just lots of interesting facts about them.
I'm sure if we lived in Kenya, Somalia, Ethiopia,
there's got to be.
There would be a lot more ostrich talk.
You would think so.
I would think so. Like, where is it? They have like 30 words for snow. Somewhere. Yeah.
Cold with lots of snow.
Yes, somewhere cold with lots of snow. You know, yeah, they don't come up very often.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I was curious about the head in the sand thing.
Yeah, there's some information about that. They don't do that. It's a common misconception. They dig their nests in the ground, and sometimes they poke their heads in to check on or move their eggs. Also, when they sense danger, they might lie down and press their long neck to the ground to become less visible.
Okay.
So both of those things have led to that myth.
Right.
And probably when they're poking their head in their nests, they do look funny.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of this, like, I like the saying, you know, I got to pull a chair over. It's a good saying to have. And then on the beak, we want to use a little bit of pomegranate. I'd say let's start with 4 inches. And then I'm going to wrap the whole head because that's the only way to make it stay on. If I tried to only wrap the front half of the diamond, it would want to slip off. So we've got to kind of go around and do a figure 8 on here. And then when I do that, I can come out a little further and get actually, I'm just going to go around that and get the beak. Probably 6-inch piece would have been better. So let me do that again. Pretend like you're just starting and get a 6-inch piece. So basically you wrap each facet of the diamond. And at some point, you've got to let it come all the way out to the tip here. We don't want this to get fat because we do put more shapes on here. So I'm going to take some of this off since it's a second run. And then I just want to stab this as flat as possible. Be careful, there's a lot of wire in this head. Stabbing mostly in the center. There we go. Okay, now we can start getting this gray on here. So it's not, first we just got to go up the neck and down the legs. Just a bit of wrapping. Nice and tight on the neck because it doesn't get too many layers. So the key to wrapping tightly and smoothly is to reinforce your wrap with the hand that's holding the armature. Draft your wool out so that you don't get like bumps, and then pull, keep your hands rather close so that you can pull quite tightly as you wrap. So since I only have a little bit of wool left right now, rather than turn around and go back down, I'm just going to draft it out. I usually end up with some kind of like crummy at the end from pulling on it. And I'm just going to go around the head here to get this anchored. But if you don't have that fiber, just end on the neck. It's fine. When I start to get the wrap to anchor, I just stay in the same place for a couple of wraps. So by pulling on it, I'm I'm holding it, I'm getting it anchored. Like I can pull on this and not hold it and it won't slip off. There's a lot of fun details to this that we're going to get into.
Ostriches
Mm-hmm.
can run continuously. I don't know for exactly how long, but at speeds of 30 to 37 miles an hour, like for long
amount of time.
And they can sprint as fast as 45 miles an hour.
Who are their predators? I wanted to buy some ostrich feathers and then I didn't because unlike peacocks, they don't shed them.
Oh.
But I think they
Gotcha.
are like, I don't know if they're domesticated, like raised for meat and feathers. I don't know.
Cheetahs, lions, leopards, hyenas, and hunting dogs.
Okay.
And Egyptian vultures and jackals might take their eggs.
Okay. At the end of my leg here, if I have just a thin bit of fiber, I'm just going around the tops of the toes.
But they are fast with very good vision, and they have a wicked kick.
Mm-hmm. As you and I were exploring this, well, first you came across some helpful graphics for how to protect yourself from an ostrich.
It was wild.
It's like an infographic.
There is a whole illustrated thing out there, how to protect yourself from an ostrich.
And then where it was hitting the ostrich on the neck, it was like bam, like Batman.
It was.
And then because I looked at that link, I started getting how to defend yourself from an ostrich reels and video.
Oh, wow. You're welcome.
It was a real woman, like in an enclosure with an ostrich.
Wow.
And she's holding it away from her by its neck. And the ostrich is taking its back legs and like trying to get, but it can't because it couldn't reach.
Wow.
And
legs
the other
are
thing
like
they said,
so dangerous. Their toes.
The other thing they said, and you're welcome for when you come face to face with an ostrich. This video will ring in your ears. They said just if you hold your hand up high, up in front of their face, it's intimidating to them.
Okay.
And they think that you're bigger than you are, I guess. I mean, who knows what they think, but.
I mean, it was like a play dead if you have to situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like protect your gut.
Ooh. I'll just admire them from
stay away from the ostrich
of my felting studio. We have a lot of safari projects. We've got the rhino, the lion, the elephant. They're almost to scale too. Like this ostrich is a little. Well, it might be somewhat relative. Nah, it's a little
9
bigger.
9 feet tall. They're big.
They're 9 feet. Yeah.
They can stand. Yeah.
Okie dokie. We want a big piece put it into this body cavity that we made. So we're going to take about 12 inches. We're going to split it in half. And we're going to wrap both of them around the Zuli tool, the rectangle, the flat side, and make about a 2.5 inch shape. So it goes out and back with the first piece to get the length of the shape. And then the second piece, we're going to do a crisscross to build up the center. So this piece, we're going to just cross over and then cross over. And by doing this, we're placing a lot of wool in the center of the shape and making it this kind of oval shape, almond shape. And then we just slide that off, put her right there. And now we want to wrap the whole body. So we're going to take a 24-inch piece and split it in half. I like to start in the middle so that I have the best shot at getting both sides even. And let's start by going out and back on the tail, and then with the rest we will wrap around the body. So I'm trying to cover and pull together those tail wires. Now, there's a lot of different wraps that you could do to get this job done, but we need to go over the back and everything we want to do it symmetrically. So we're going to go through the legs this way, and then I need to go over the back of the back, and then I can go through the legs this way. So I just made an X between the legs. So now I'm going over the front of the back and going through the legs, and then going over the back of the back and then going through the legs. And I am totally, I'm just going to go around the base of the neck here. I'm kind of wrapping in a right-handed way, but I'm doing it left-handed, so it's very awkward looking. So I'm just stabbing lightly to hold that, and then I'm going to put the second piece on. All right, that time I crisscrossed, figure eighted around the body, and I didn't go between the legs because I just felt like that's what I needed to do. But now I'm going to go between the legs again. So any way that is comfortable to you, that is symmetrical, you want to go use both of those 24 inches around this body, with some of them crisscrossing between the legs. Don't wrap around the leg at this point. Sometimes that can happen when you're wrapping this part. Good. Now that we have our basic wrapping done, we're going to work primarily on the legs because we want them basically almost finished before we put the plumage on. But you can see how we're going to use these wires to attach the plumes to the body. And we do want to do that before we do any more, finishing to the body. but I don't want them on there while I'm trying to, get all these details on my legs. So let's work on the legs a bit. They have a very shapely upper leg. They have these amazing thighs, and they have, you can see their tendons. So we're going to create some tendons, and then they have a few little joint shapes that we're going to add on. So the first thing that we need to do is take about 6 inches of core and quarter it.
Their legs are wild.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you feel like one side is smaller, save those out and use your bigger quarters, because that happens sometimes. If they're even, that's fine. And this is a wrap that kind of just brings the leg together with the body. So I start on the body, I go down the leg, maybe 2 wraps, back up, and then return to the body. And it just pulls it all together a bit.
People should definitely be using pictures and looking at pictures. You're not doing that now, but you did for a long time before.
Yes.
Really starting this.
When I get to the face, I will definitely get a reference picture out. But yes, reference pictures help. My instructions hopefully are good and understandable, but reference pictures help your own brain understand what you're yeah.
Well, and this project in particular is not, unless you have loved ostriches and studied them and really know.
Yeah. It's a lot of unfamiliar territory.
Yeah.
So Talbot was just talking about, he was curious if ostrich had anything to do with the root of ostracize, and it's 2 different things, he said. Ostracize comes from the word that was used for the certain pottery, ceramics. There was ostracon, and then they used these pieces of pottery to vote to oust someone, and so that's, you were ostracized by the ostracon.
To live with the ostriches.
You go put your head in the sand. And then these other 2, we're going to make a shape on the Zully and this is going to be the thigh muscle. So we want to wrap just kind of straight around. I might crisscross or travel a little bit, but keep it within 1 inch. And I pull, I draft, and I wrap, and that, makes everything tight. And then slide that off. So if you don't draft, then you have all these like big bumps and stuff. So drafting just pulls your roving into a nice straight form that makes it easier and more consistent. Now, when I slide these off, I generally have a side that is a little more blunt and thick and one that's more tapered. It just happens naturally. And we want the tapered part at the bottom and the wider part at the top. And we're going to make this nice curvy thigh muscle. And I'm stabbing into just a wrapped wire, so this is not super secure. It's just a start. It is going to get wrapped, but I want to get a tendon on before I wrap it. So it's just kind of tacked on there. It's right on the outside of the leg.
Definitely want that mini stab it.
Yeah, it is very helpful. If you don't have it, you can take a regular stab it and maneuver it around. It's just not as convenient. And you definitely want, you want something backing what you're stabbing into.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have 22 gauge wire, and we want to cut 2 4-inch pieces and 2 3.5-inch pieces. The marks on the stabbit are 2 inches. And then we want to wrap these very tightly with some of our core. So I'm going to take about 3 inches, and I'm just going to pull strips off. I'm not really quartering it. So I start at one end and just gotta kind of hold it down. And then this, I usually actually just roll it towards me, and I make sure that I keep drafting so that it stays very thin. If you need a little bit of tacky wrap, you can add that, but it sticks pretty well. And then I try to make sure I get a little bit extra at the end, or get the end covered. And then if you just take that fringe and hold it down and turn, it will stick down.
Pretty sure you made that look easier than it actually is.
You want to do one?
Oh, sure.
You're like, can't refuse me publicly.
Well, everyone's going to see what one of them looks like.
I just start by just like almost just kind of pressing and twisting.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to act as a tendon in the leg. So we definitely want it to be very tight and isolated thing. Like we try to make it show. It's hard once it's all wrapped to really get it to show, but
so you go down and back.
Yes. So I just like this fiber, you just keep pulling it really thin. I think the drafting, I know I keep mentioning it, but I keep mentioning it because it's the part that I think I take for granted, how much I do it
Mm-hmm.
and how important it is. And so I'm trying to say it a lot to drive that might be a difference in what you're experiencing versus what the viewers are experiencing versus what I'm showing.
All right. Could be worse.
Nice. That is nice.
There's one little lumpy spot I didn't draft well
That's
enough, but that wool wants to stick.
It's nice. This core really does. Yeah, these are great. Okay, so the 2 slightly longer ones go on the lower leg. They should go from the hock to the ankle. And let's get ourselves like a 5-inch piece and quarter it. I'm going to draft these out to make them longer than we start. I just want these really thin. I want these even and thin because, what did you say? Sorry.
It's very thick. It definitely needs a good amount of drafting.
Yeah, so it starts out about 5 inches long and thick, and then we quarter it. then we pull it and it's going to end up being about 8 inches long and thinner. So big change from that to that. So we want this thin because we want the structure of the leg to show. We're not trying to cover this all up with, you know, some big chunky wrapping. And their legs look prettier and longer when they stay skinny. They have more shape. So first, you just kind of have to hold this in place. So I'm holding it to the back of the leg and wrapping this around. When I get to the bottom here, I can do a little extra crisscross because they do have quite a joint down here. So I have a little bend in the ankle where the toes come out, and then I can crisscross around the end of this tendon. And I'm going to take that extra off. I didn't quite get the top of this secure, but that's okay because I will when I wrap the hock joint.
So they can cover more than 10 feet in a single stride with their long legs.
Oh yeah, gosh, I would think when they were running is
more.
Yeah.
This says their feet act like springs, providing cushioning and shock absorption to propel them.
Yeah, they're like running on their toes. Yeah.
Their speed and anatomy is so unique that scientists have even designed mechanical robot feet inspired by them.
There's a term for that.
What's that?
Biomimicry.
Oh,
that's
biomimicry.
cool. I mean, don't some prosthetic lower legs for runners are a very simple spring?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a little extra wrap around the ankle serves a purpose, but don't feel like you have to use all your fiber. Don't go too crazy. Don't give him cankles. Okay, then we get these shorter ones up on here that goes right behind that thigh muscle and right down to meet the other one at the hock. And I'm going to start mid-leg because it's a little hard to, wrap at the top where it's wider here. So I'm going to start mid-leg. Go down. Make sure you have a bend at the hock so you know exactly where it is. And then I'm going to take this, I'm using a nice wide. Now, in this kind of situation, I want a wider flat ribbon because I'm just trying to enclose everything evenly. And I'm going to take that up around this thigh. It's a little tricky because it might want to slide down. And then go ahead and felt it at the top here. I like to have 2 needles in my pen tools so that I can go along things like these, between these 2 leg wires. I also just sometimes feel like 3 is just too much.
Mm-hmm.
Takes too much force. What happened? I must have used... No. Just gotta shove it up there. It's a little long. Tendons going up into his bum. Okay. All right, now we're going to wrap the hawk just by itself, just to get a bit of a buildup on this hawk joint. And I'll just start with a piece. I want like 4-inch piece, and then I'll take 2 quarters from that and stretch them out. This might be a little bit too much, but gives us a place to start. And this wrap, it just stays right in this area. It goes around the lower leg bone, it comes into the bend here and goes around the upper leg bone. You never want to wrap right around the bend or this point, because what we're trying to do is to get the fiber to create a pointy triangle. So I'll see if I can demonstrate. We do this a lot. And then we're also getting the fiber to fill in this part of the triangle. So we use this wrap a lot. It is a figure 8. It's like an infinity. Takes a little bit of practice. I'm trying to keep the ribbon flat and not let it twist. And that is probably enough. Well, I'm going to do one more. So not a huge amount of fiber. I have a couple more shapes to put on here, plus we have the top coat. So I'm not trying to go too crazy. So you can see the difference between, like here, I can still see the 2 tendons. This is kind of skinny. And then on this one, that triangle is filled in a little bit. Helps sometimes to exaggerate the bend. That's good. The more things you make and techniques you practice, the more you will become like a master manipulator of the fiber, because that's what it's really comes down to, is understanding what you can do with it and how much you need and how to push it around. And like sometimes when people follow our tutorials, they might bring a project to me, super wacky looking, but all the shapes are exactly right. And all the shapes are there. It just needs to be pushed and pulled into place. Okay. I like to make 2 little sort of bones on the ankle and on the hock. So you can take a scrap of something that I'm sure you have and give yourself 4 sort of 2 by 8-inch wisps, just little bits. And then this is where you'll want to use something very small, like a toothpick. I've got this needle. You could use the end of a pindle, but you need a nice tight little shape.
So a
skewer works well. So just take this around right in place. Try to keep it. Little crisscross helps it stay in a little kind of hard dot, versus if you just go around, it tends to want to spread out. So if you give yourself a little crisscross to your wrap, little angle.
There's definitely a lot of different techniques in this project. That, like you said, while it's not necessarily that difficult, like it's attainable, you're way better off having done a bunch of Sarafina projects before.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of buildup of knowledge. So sometimes my sister talks about, it's just a conversation I happen to have with her. We talk about the difference between information and knowledge. So information is what we're doing when we look on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
What? Tell me something about this. And then knowledge is when you have practiced and learned and sort of, I don't know, infiltrated or like embodied, like right. That when it can come back out of you as information,
then it's knowledge.
Yeah. So yeah, this is every project is a building, skill building, knowledge building. So one of these goes on the outside of each hock, and you just got to kind of try to target with a single needle in between those wires. Like I have a friend that teaches self-defense, and she has people like listening to her explain something, but as soon as she tells them that there's a reason that she teaches self-defense, and there's an experience, then it's like everybody, she feels like it's like, oh, and they understand that it is her true knowledge. And yeah, so we all have stuff to offer like that. Mine just happens to be making weird shapes out of fiber and sticking them to wire armatures. And then this one, trying to sort of wrap it around the bottom a little bit. Just trying to give a little more detail and interest instead of just having straight.
Well, look at images of their legs.
There's a lot going on. Now, on these other ones, I also made like a little slightly oblong shape for the back, but I feel like I got this hock better and don't need it necessarily. So, because I was sort of, when I made that shape, I was kind of filling in where I missed with the tendons. But I don't feel like I need it. But I'll show it just as an add-on in case somebody else does need it. So I was trying to make a shape that created where I have a bit of a point, a bit of an angle here. I didn't have that. So on the skewer or the toothpick, I wrapped a little bit more of an oblong shape, maybe with one side a little bit thicker, more dense. So it tapers, and then I put that there. I mean, that looks cool. I could do that. Do that again. So again, similar size wisp, not too much fiber. And I'm just wrapping about 3/4 of an inch and building up the fiber a little bit more on one end. So this is hard to stick. Because you're trying to stab it into the back of the leg here. But I'm having the tapered end go down onto the lower leg and the wider end come right to the point of that hock. It doesn't matter if it's not super stuck because we're getting ready to wrap the whole thing. So So I apologize if this is not an easy one to see. It's certainly not an easy one to get to.
Their legs look prehistoric.
Mm-hmm. So if we do this right, this bottom should just kind of blend into the lower leg, and the top should create a little more interest in the leg shape. Now, they sometimes have a little bit of like pink on their legs. I like adding that. You don't have to. To do that, I like to blend a tiny bit of the rust. Just take a wisp of that, and then maybe like 2 wisps of pomegranate.
Sometimes it's at their knees. Sometimes it's like on their shin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's not their shin, but
I'm putting it on their shin. Yeah, I think it's their. It is. I think it is their shin. Yeah, because their wings are their arms.
Okay.
Just to be sure, I need this for the beak, so I have about 8 inches left. So you want to be sure to have that. Don't use more than that. And then there's a little bit more. Okay. And then just kind of pull it into a thin bit. And I mean, this is even too much. It's really just, you just got to get a wrap on there at the upper shin. Actually, this is their ankle. This would be technically a part of their foot relative to us because this is their knee. I don't know. Can't sort that one out right now. Yeah, this wrap can help hold that weird tendon on that we just put on there. So I'm keeping it thin and flat, and it's okay if the 2 sides are a little different. It's, it's almost like it's just like a pigmentation or like a marking that seems to come out. So I like to put a little bit of oats around their toes, and then we're going to go down the leg and toes with the blue roan horse coat and pull it all together. So let's take our oats and take a 2 to 3 inch piece, and you can quarter that or give yourself some thin strips. And then just build up these toes a little bit. The oats is nice. It softens everything. It's a little warmer. And I'm going to the end of the aluminum wire and leaving the black toenail. And I can go around the ankle or the base of the foot a little bit. They do have some change in coloring on their legs, so. I didn't get super detailed. Their toes are like pretty specific and look pretty weird. I did not get super detailed in that at this scale, so. Keeping it on the relatively simple side. Someone recently made a comment on Fanfare. She's making a wolf, and she said having her armature all over the table, on her lap, in the air, she was appreciating what it must take to keep things in frame, which sometimes I don't do, and sometimes I add my head to the frame, but yes, I try. So as long as you're drafting and have little wisps at the end of your wraps and get those wisps like tightened down, what you wrap will stay. It doesn't necessarily need to be stabbed, and that is a big, big time saver. Alrighty. So to start, it probably will help to do this in 2 parts instead of trying to do one full wrap.
Ooh, the horse coat.
Let's take a 6-inch piece, split it in half, stretch it out, and then I'm going to do the lower legs. So I'm going to start at the hock, maybe just go around real thin. And then when I go over the pink, I want to leave this so webby and maybe even just kind of skip a little bit. Just, it's like a glaze, like I'm letting that pink show through. And then when I get past it, now I can get more solid again. So it takes a little practice. It might help to just pull a little bit of the horse coat off and just stab a little bit of it on top. And then I'm going to take it off because my ankle's getting kind of fat. So just let it taper off and stab it into what's already down here. This needle is a 36. It's quite strong because I wanted it to get these shapes stuck very well. So might need to switch to a 38.
So you keep redefining the tendon.
Yeah, I'm gonna stab that tendon quite a bit. Where'd my other? Here it is. So I'm going to pull this really thin, like hardly any fibers are holding on, and then kind of skip some of this pink area so it stays pink. And then once I get past it, I'm going to let the fiber be thick and solid again. Not thick, but consistent. This, at first I thought, we could just use Payne's Gray, but this blue roan horse coat really is perfect, and it has a nice shine to it and evenness. Now I got a little stripey on that one, so I can disrupt that with stabbing, with reverse needle. I will figure that out. I can do, I could just put a really thin wisp of pink fiber right here to disrupt so I have some stripes, so I can just put a really little bit of pink fiber on top of that. get it random. I'll smooth that out in a minute. Okay, so now we just need to wrap the tops. So let's take more like an 8-inch piece and split it in half lengthwise. And then I'm going to start at the hock. Just getting all this covered and go right on up. Just keeping it thin and wide so that I can enclose the whole leg. Yeah, and then every time I'm stabbing in between the tendon and the leg to try to dent it and show it. If this were wrapped in like a darker color underneath, one technique to do that would be to reverse needle. I like to sometimes do that on dog toes. Like reverse needle, pull the dark color out and then stab it back in, and you'll really get that line.
Could you add a little bit of a dark color to make the line?
You can. It doesn't look as natural when you put it on top.
Okay.
Now, I probably shouldn't have done that, but I went around the hock maybe too much, but it's all right. All right, our legs, aside from some stabbing and I do have another step to make a little web right here, which we'll do in a moment. But yeah, those are pretty much done. Yeah, I'm gonna neaten them up a little bit, but so before, let's see. Let's wrap the neck and get that done, and then we'll put the plumage on. So we need another wrap on the neck. We just want it to stay skinny here and get a little wider as it comes down. So we're going to use the core and take an 8-inch piece and pull off what is about a quarter. I'm not gonna tear the whole thing apart right now. And draft that out. And I'm just going to go from the base of the neck up and back down, but I'm not going to go all the way to the top. Whenever you wrap from the bottom up and turn around and go down, it starts to build a cone shape, which is real handy when you're making gnomes and trees. But in this case, we want it to be very subtle and just a little bit more width at the bottom. But other than that, I don't do any shape to the neck. All right, that's about as far as I'm going to go, and then keep it thin at the top here so that you're not building up a big chunk, so that it's all very subtle when you turn around and go back. That's good. And then we're going to wrap this with the horse coat. So same thing. I would take about an 8-inch strip, pull it in half. So all I have left of this right now is this half and this little bit, which is fine. The only other time I use it is maybe as a little bit of accent on the head. So that's about what you want. This is just meant to be this final layer over the legs and neck. So just simply wrapping, covering the core with the top coat.
So even though like the neck and the legs look bare, do they actually have
hair?
Is it like a little down, like
I imagine
it looks
it's
a little
like a
floofy.
turkey, I imagine them having like we have arm hairs.
Okay. Yeah, they a little bit soft.
Oh, they have some fluff. I thought about like putting the oats and then reverse needling it out. Like they had some fluff, but you know.
You get that look from the wrapping.
Alrighty, now we get to put the plumes on that we made. And this one I picked out for the tail. So just want to get it kind of lined, make sure my fibers are going out to the sides here. Not sure which way that one's supposed to go. And get that lined up. And then these wires are gonna secure it. So I try to just pull it as tight as I can. And then because the tail is a little bit tapered, it might want to sort of slip back up. So I don't twist them together like a twist tie. I just cross them underneath, pulling it tightly, and then let these wires come up over the back and pull them tightly. So I'm going to count on the fiber that I put on top to really anchor all of this down. I don't like twisting the wires together because it makes a big lump in there, and that can become a problem. So that's going to kind of stay just like there, like that for now. And then same thing with these. We're going to put them on the side right in front of the legs, coming right off the side, and just pull it as tight as you can. Let the wires cross and come back on each other. So it helps to kind of grab them from this side and twist them around.
So they don't fly, but they do use their wings for balance and control when they're running and turning and stopping quickly. They like, what would that
make
be?
Sense.
Like the fast cars that have like the parachute thing that slow it down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Big cats use their tails that way. And okay, so now we have a lot of wires coming around here. I think I can dent, this one's having a hard time staying. So I think I can dent it enough that if I do give it one twist, it'll be down in that wool. That was helpful. I'm here like, I don't twist the wires, but I think that one wasn't staying put and it needed it. Okay, so now we're going to make, let me do this one too.
Looks so ostrichy now.
I know.
I mean, it already
so
did.
Fun. But I gotta get this one anchored too. All right, I am really pulling this tight. giving it one twist and so that it's buried down in these, this core wool that we have on here. Okay, we're going to make two shapes. One accentuates the bump on the back and one accentuates the shape of the chest. And those are made with core wool. And we're going to take about 10 inches, 8 to 10 inches, and split it in half. And wrap the flat side of the Zuli tool and create about a 2.5 inch shape. So I go out and then I go back and then I want to put the rest right in the middle of the shape. So I'm going to wrap to this direction, then I'm going to wrap back, and then I'm going to put the rest in the middle. And so one goes.
It just got significantly more complicated with the wings.
One goes on the back, kind of makes a nice bump. Probably have my head in the shot. Just be careful. There's a lot of wire going on now. Just getting it tacked. Getting it stuck on there. That's good. And then one goes on the chest here. So I want it to kind of make a bit of a right angle on the chest. So first I'm going to tack it at the top. The bulk of it being right on this point of the chest, and the rest of it just coming back between, like tapering between the legs. Now, while I'm here, I'm going to take a little piece of core and just go across this area under here and cover any wire, blend the shapes together. This whole thing gets covered with black fur, so there's a lot, more covering going on, but this just helps everything stay put and look nice and gives you a nice even plane for attaching your fur. And also, while I'm here, I'm just going to tip her forward a little bit, get this plumage lined up, and I'm going to put some black core over the tailbone and just felt it down into, I knew that was going to happen, felt it down into the piece of plumage that we made. So I don't want it to be very wide. I'm going to restack. I want this to be narrow, like the tailbone. And put that on there. And I'm covering the gray. Now, I don't know how accurate this is to the actual bird. They might actually be gray under there, but this is just a helpful step in getting that plumage piece married to the tailbone here. So some of these black and gray core fibers are going to come through the other side and help hold this on. All right, now we also want a piece of gray core over here and over here. How did that chest get so out of whack? So I'm just taking about a 3-inch piece and putting it right over that bump.
Do you know what a group of ostriches is called?
Is it a fun one?
It should be.
Uh-oh,
So,
but it's not.
No. Super lame.
Oh, is it called a flock?
No.
Oh.
I think a flight would be pretty funny.
Yes, that would be funny.
It's called a herd.
Oh, boring.
So boring. Whoever did that, that was like a...
Gala or something.
Yeah, I like that, Talbot.
A herd. That's
Talbot said a gala. I'm not sure if they can
a gala. Total missed opportunity there. Whoever figures out what groups of animals are called. Person. Yeah, who assigns those? Who's the collective noun assigner of animals?
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, she's from where I'm sitting. It's pretty funny. Okay, I need one more. I'm sorry. I'm probably not in the best position right now, but I've got to bring this closer to me. I need one more piece over here. So yeah, we're just taking our core wool and going around getting our bumps, our shapes and our plumage covered and secured.
So the herd is usually about a dozen, 10 or 12.
Okay.
So they are somewhat social and there's some protection there for them. There's a dominant male and a dominant female.
Oh, like a herd. Well, that's how horses operate. So maybe that's why it's called a herd. What do the babies look like?
I do believe I saw that.
Are they born brown?
Female, yeah, whether they're male or female, they are.
Shoo! Shoo! That is a nice ostrich body shape. They're very, they're kind of like a torpedo. They're sort of long. And I like the bumps we got here. We're doing well. We're doing well.
Baby ostriches are very cute.
Can I see?
So cute.
Hi. Oh my gosh.
Look at his little face.
Oh my gosh.
Very cute and floofy. A little ostrich family would be fun.
We always talk about making the babies and then rarely do. We have the lamb.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we have a baby of?
Sleepy mice are babyish.
Yeah. Alrighty. I love this point because pretty soon we're going to start talking to it. It's getting there. It's getting there. We need some little foot web. They kind of have I don't know that it's really a web, but they have like a span of something, skin between their toes. So I'm just going to take a little piece of core, sort of little square inch, and then a little bit of, instead of gray, I'm going to use oats. Let's try that. Since they have oats on their toes, we want to get a nice blend going on. So I'm going to use oats and then put the blue roan on top. I'm just going to stab that together a little bit. And then I want to make a taco. I don't need anything across the center of the taco. This isn't doesn't have to be a super strong hold. I'm just stabbing the center. I've got my fibers running vertically. And then fold this over and stab this really well. I haven't really been using the punch tool in this project, but this could be a time for the punch tool. And just keep in mind, whenever you're stabbing directly into your felting surface, that you want to lift the fiber off often so that it doesn't stick in there. Take a little bit off the end here. That's a bit wide. Ends up about a little over 1 inch wide across. And then splay the fringy side out so that it can go over the back of the foot. I'm going to try to hold this so that you guys can see. It's going to be a little tricky. I go this way. So the taco goes forward, the rolled edge, and then the fringe goes back over the foot. And I really try to leave a nice triangle of that web right between the toes. So if I flip it over, then I can take this fringe around the back. Yeah, so that should pull everything together nicely. And then again, I want to sort of define and stab this center triangle. And then I want to take the thinnest wisp of oats, since that's what is on the tips of our toes, and just let the fringe be on the web, go around the toe, and bring the fringe back. And that holds that web on and blends away the seam of it and blends the colors. So once again, I've got the edge of my taco web here. I'm going to put the oats fringe on the foot, go around the toe. This time I'm going to go all the way around and then come back on with the fringe. So with these steps, these colors get very blended together. If you have any spots that you feel the transition isn't good, you can just add a little more fiber or reverse needle. And we are going to put some power wax on here, but I'm going to wait until we have it out to do the beak and then do everything at once.
You haven't lived until you've really looked at ostrich feet.
Yeah, I mean, I thought kangaroos were weird, but ostriches take the foot cake. Yeah, I love the surprises that come with exploring the different animals more closely. You know, when we go to make them, it's like this deeper exploration of what they
makes
are
them-
and
yeah.
why they are the way they are. Just poking me, and it's hard to wrangle.
The ostrich teaches us to be strong and persistent in the face of adversity. Some ostrich wisdom.
Yeah, because they're like, I can't fly. I was just imagining ostriches and penguins getting together, which that's a fun time. And I realized they're both black and white.
Are penguins always in cold?
Pretty much.
Like they need cold, right?
I think there's some warm weather penguins.
Oh, yeah? I would be curious to know about that if you want to look it up. Okay, we get to make the face. I have some notes here.
Yeah, there's some Magellanic penguins in Chile and Argentina. I'll put a picture up.
Okay, face. It's a few shapes. We're going to put a rectangle on top of the head, and we make they have these cute little cheeks, and then we have eyeballs, and then we have the beak triangles, and a little brow, and then eyelashes. Easy peasy. Okay, so we're going to take about 3 inches and pull off about 1/3 of that. I don't know how to describe this piece. It's like 3 inches without fringe and sort of like a 1/2 inch of fiber. And then we're going to go right around, straight around the round end of the Zuli tool.
And you do this in oats.
In oats. I just like mixing up with the colors on the head a little bit, give it a little bit of softness. This oats is so awesome. And then because the Zuli tool handle is a nice width, we can flatten this out. We have some give to it. And this goes right across the top of the head. The back half of the head is where this goes. And you can go ahead and really dent the middle because they actually kind of have a dent there. And then these, you just stab them down a little bit. The eyeball kind of goes right into that. So we don't want to totally tame this side, but you can just stab them into the side of the head a little bit. So dent on top, nice and even. You can see how he looks there. Then we still have this fiber. So we're going to pull 2 thinner strips, I'd say about half that width, sort of like 1/4 inch widths. And we're going to roll it on the face ace. And we just want to make a round ball, I'd say about 3 inches up. Now, the reason that we move up is because the tool gets wider and it gives us a little bit more give to the shape. So if we did it down here, it would be very tight and solid. So just back and forth, a little round ball. This is a little bit bigger than the ones that we made for the leg details. Now, these are tricky because they need to go on the side of the head and there's not much width to the side of the head. So they go towards the back, just kind of to the side of this poof that we put on. But I'm just going to tack the front of it down and tack the back of it down. It is not coming quite as far forward as the as the forehead poof. There's like a little pocket here, and that's where the eye is going to go. These little cheeks are sort of set back on the head. Do you have a picture open? Do you see what? Yeah, like if you get out a reference image, you're going to see
the cheeks are below the eye.
What we're doing. They're behind it a little bit. So really just tacking the two ends down with a stronger needle. And I don't overstab when I add face shapes because I want to be able to manipulate them. Okay. Now, let's make some eyeballs so that we get those settled.
Ostriches do have the biggest eyes of any bird.
They're
actually bigger than the bird's brain. An ostrich eye is bigger than the ostrich brain. It's almost the size of a billiard ball.
Whoa! I didn't know that.
And they blink about once per minute.
I couldn't imagine. Just every minute being like, I'm gonna blink. Yeah. Small amount of black. This is a thin strip about 2 inches long. And you're going to use your toothpick or your skewer, whatever is tiny, and make a little black ball. Now these get another layer. This is like a sculptural placeholder kind of thing. This is like we're making the actual eyeball, and then they get color and more detail. Definitely helps to have a reference image open so that you can see these features. Also helps to watch through and watch it come together. That way, when you're making your shapes and attaching them, you understand how it comes together. Now, I'm putting the eyeball above the cheek, but forward of it right into this poof. I need a slightly less strong needle because I got to get all the way through there. Watch your fingers. Will you look up ostrich in profile? I'm curious to see the head and where the eyeball is in distance from the tip of the beak to the back of the head. I've got it just about halfway, but it's slightly back. Oh, yeah, that's good. Oh, we're not doing that ear. Everybody, we're not doing the ear. So when I look at that picture, and maybe it's just me wanting to, be like, okay, this is good. But if you were to draw a vertical line through the ostrich's face, then the eye would be on the line but behind it. So that's where we have it. So that's good.
They have weird ears.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Avoiding the ears. Okay, now we're going to make some little beak shapes, and I just make 2 thin triangles, and then we can give them a detail. And all right, let me show one that's finished. So we make these two triangles, very flat, and we bring the fringe back because their beak like comes back almost under their eyes, doesn't it? Do you still have that image?
It does.
Okay, and then we're going to put a brow, which is going to, bring the eye, give the eye a brow, but also let the fringe come down onto the beak, and then we do some reverse needling, and everything comes together beautifully.
The beak pretty much comes to the eye.
Yeah. Okay, so we need our pomegranate, and whether or not you want a little bit of rust in it is up to you. It's just a little slightly deeper. Maybe I'll do that on the top and just pink on the bottom.
They either look goofy or disgruntled.
Can't remember if I cut this in half. Maybe not. You want to restack this until it's as narrow as possible. So I have it ends up being about 2 inches wide, but I don't want it to be 2 inches. I'm thinking more of like a 1-inch square, but it just ends up a little wider. And then I want to stab a triangle. So I'm going to stab the center line, and then I'm going to stab a triangle, like I'm drawing an arrow, and then I want to fold the fringe over into the triangle, kind of like thirds, like that flopped all the way over, and then this is going to flop all the way over. This is a good time for the punch tool. So make sure I pick it up. I can take a little bit of this extra off. Flatten it out really well. And then we're going to do it again. Now, if anything, on the second one, I want it a little bit smaller. Just want that lower lip to be just underneath the upper one.
So ostrich nests are communal.
Oh, that's interesting.
Several ostriches lay their eggs in the same nest. One male and one female, like the dominant ones, are the ones that incubate the eggs.
Okay. And then
a single nest might have 30 to 40 eggs.
Wait a minute. So one male, different females, or all different couples, or?
It is different couples, but only the dominant male and female are the ones that incubate.
Oh, that incubate, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it.
Hold on. Yeah, the alpha male and dominant female look after the nest.
Ooh,
and take turns incubating.
Big responsibility. This fringe that we have off the edges of our triangles, we want that because that is going to go back and make that little turn to the corner of the mouth. It's subtle, but it's a little important feature. This is kind of a detailed part of this and kind of also weird angles. So I'm going to do my best to keep this in place, but I might need to hold it in ways that make it hard to see. So I'm just centering this onto the triangle that's already there. And this triangle sticks off the edge of that a little bit. And just, you can turn it upside down to make sure that it's all centered. and it's sticking off about 1/8 of an inch. And then this is where the corner of the mouth, you want to turn this. Well, let's get the bottom one on first before we deal with that fringe. Okay. Yeah. So now we want to turn this corner and create a little corner to the mouth. Let me open a picture so I can see where it is. I feel like it's under the eye. Oh, they're so funny. Yep, just under the eye. This is where you might be thinking, I need to have faith in the process. Okay, so we're going to make a little brow shape, and that's going to do wonders for us. Okay. Okay, make the brow out of oats. I still have this strip here. I'm not sure why. But yeah, that's probably a nice amount. This is just a little bit wide. And on the end of the face ace, I'm just going to go right around here. So this is about, maybe ends up about like 3/4 of an inch long, a little bit longer than 1/2 inch. They're what you call derpy. Mm-hmm. They are derpy. Yeah. And so the brow is going to make the top of the head wider and encapsulate the eyeball. So we want it to go over the eyeball, come back to meet the cheek, and travel down onto the beak a little bit. That feels strong. Ah, that's better. A little bit less alien-y. If you have a wider part of your eyebrow, it's going to go towards the back. Yeah, Talbot, you're definitely going to want to zoom in on this. So I'm not super stabbing until I make sure everything is lined up. Look at it from the bottom, look at it from the top. Now it's starting to talk to you, Carla. That's very awesome. And then let's make a taco that goes underneath and just comes to the neck. They do a really weird thing with their throat. Can you find anything out about that? Their throat? Yeah. So what's that? Yeah. I'm going to take a little strip of oats and a little piece of top coat of the blue roan top coat. I'm going to make a taco, but I don't need to like super felt or shape it or anything. I'm just making, I actually might even pull a little bit of this off the edge. I'm just making a soft fold that I'm going to start on underneath the beak and let come across, like meet up with the cheeks and to the neck. So a softer fold gives me a lot of play. Anything about when they do that? I feel like it's part of the male.
Their neck is an important means of staying cool and keeping warm.
Interesting.
I'm not searching the right thing because, wait. Why do ostriches inflate their necks? It's called booming.
Ooh.
It's a warning call. It can inflate its neck up to 3 times its normal size. Hold on, is that just...
Now, we have some details here. We're going to do some little nostrils because they are rather prominent and they're cute, unlike the ear. I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed to the nostrils. They come right where this line coming down from the brow. So you just want to twist the tiniest bit of black in your hand and stab it right.
So they do that to declare their territory, and it's also part of mating.
Okay.
Like a mating call. It's a special sac in their throat that they fill with air. Which is on a YouTube video.
All right, so we got 2 little black dots. That's fun. Sorry, buddy. It's really hard to get your face in the right place. Then I like to put a black line around the mouth. I feel like we made this kind of detailed beak and it helps give him expression. Now, you can either burn these extra fibers or trim them, but you want to get some of this fuzz off of here. Burning is fun because it's just fun. I think it smells good. And you don't have to worry about cutting it too much. The other thing about burning it is it gives you kind of a nice little natural darkness to the tip.
They vomit a little bit every time they drink water.
Aw.
That's weird.
Look. Oh, that smells good. Doesn't it look good?
It does.
A little bit
good.
burnt.
Mm-hmm. It's surprising how far back their beak goes.
Jennifer doesn't like the smell of it, but I like the smell of it. So I'm rolling black in my fingers and making a really thin strip. We don't want this to be like comical. And then I think like a little downturn in the corner of the mouth.
That's what they do.
That's fun. Yeah.
That's their little disgruntled.
I have a really hard time working on the right side of my animals, so all you right-handed people are probably getting this is when, remember I said I don't often feel like a project has to have this, but this is a really good time for the grab and stab. It holds everything tight and keeps you safe. Okay. Eyes. I'm going to make, using the rust. Oh, it's really starting to look like something. I'm going to pull some off, cut it in half just to break up the fiber a bit. And then really kind of disrupt it. Break her down. Then you want like a thumbprint worth. And then in my hands, I usually just fold that around itself and make a second eyeball. This eyeball is going to be a little bit more flat than the black eyeball was. This is a fun technique. Having a reverse needle is handy, and I don't think I mentioned that in the beginning of the video. Need to find a twist. So I have a 40 twist, which is great for details because it doesn't dent too much and it tightens everything down. So make that as round as you can. Stab it into the black one. Repeat. It is a very small amount of fiber. If you get too much, then this just becomes too big and weird. Okay, then we want to make a smaller, flatter, just keep checking that your eyeballs are even because it's really hard when you're working on both sides of the face to get that right. I was like, why do I have so much black fiber? But I just remembered we got to do the whole body. So I've got some black core here, and I'm taking a really small amount, like just a tiny little pinch, and rolling it in my fingers. And then we're going to make this the center of the eye. And you want to get that as centered and as round as possible. Oh, I can see you now. Quite a few steps to the details here. All right, now this is the fun part. Once you have that all stabbed really well, we're going to take the reverse needle and pull out some black at the top of the eye and then stab it back in. And that's going to make the top of the eye look shaded by the lids, which they are. and give a little lightness to the bottom of the eye. And then we've got to use Arctic because it's the only white in the kit, but it works. Rather than put like the tiniest piece of Sarafina white in the kit, yeah. So you take a little bit of Arctic, cut it in half again. Really sort of tease it out and disrupt it. And then roll it in your fingers to make a white dot. It's a super small amount. And then if you just stab in the same place, like that was in danger of being too much. But if I just really stab in the same place, it'll tighten down into one little spot. So on the other side, lift out some black. Stab it back down. Get your white dot. Tighten it down all into one tiny spot. You don't want the white dot to be too big. Okay. We're going to mix a little bit of the gray with the oats. Just kind of restack and blend the two colors together a little bit. And take a really thin strip of that and fold it in half and just put that right under the eye, coming onto the beak a little bit. They just have, right now the eye was like resting right on the beak, but we need to get a little bit of floof underneath it. What? I thought this must be from a workshop. I have a lot of 36s. Alrighty. Get a little floof on this side. Hopefully I'm in a good spot on the camera. And then a little bit of this can just go across the top to blend the top of the head.
So I'm seeing that ostrich eyelashes actually aren't hair.
Oh, yeah?
They're short feathers.
That is amazing.
They help shade the eyes from sunlight and then helps them protect it from like sand flying around.
That's incredible. We need eyelashes. So I still have some black cut up, so I don't need very much. I only need about this much. I can take this half and cut it in half.
If you look, I don't know if you can see, but they're actually teeny tiny.
Whoa! Oh my gosh.
Teeny
That's
tiny
nuts.
feathers.
And then I want to center, we're going to use the fur technique. So I'm going to center this fur over the top of the eye and stab it in. It doesn't, ooh, almost got me.
No.
But then I need a tiny bit of black, just as a little noodle. This is what's really going to hold it. Like you're felting the black through the fur into the crease at the top of the eyeball. I can feel where the crease is, but you can lift this up and just check, that you're in the right spot. Yeah, and then just stab that, making sure I'm really locked down. And then at some point, lift the bottom up and stab it, from this side so that it starts to pull together. Yeah, there she is. And then you want to trim these. I usually do like a little, whoops, that part came out. I usually do like a little angle. And I didn't put the eyelids all the way over the top of the eye to the front corner. I just put them more focused from like 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So funny. Ooh, this side is not as good, I can tell.
You can tell it's not as good?
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. Yeah, it's just always a struggle to get to this side of things. Oh, brother, I've got this. There we go. Now, you could take a thin strip of black and go around the rim of the eye again. Let's do that. Just black core. Really thin little roll. Reestablish the edge of the eye. This one's not as bad as the other one. Alrighty. And then a little reverse needle on the top of the head. kind of fuzzes out the brows and makes them look cuter. How's that?
So cute. Very handsome.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I'm going to wait on the cold wax until we're done with all the fluff, because I don't want damp, cold wax. I want to put, they come up a little bit black on their neck. So with the black core, I'm just going to take a little strip, little section of a 3-inch strip, and wrap around the base of the neck here. And now we're ready to add the fiber, add the rest of the fur to the body. And I'm using the shingle technique rather than the fur technique because it's faster, it uses less fiber, you cover the ground further, and yeah, it's this less tedious, but also because their body shape is pretty specific, so we don't want to fluff it all out and lose the cool body shape that we made. So I usually start, since I'm shingling, I'm going to start at the back and I'm going to layer my shingles forward. And we're going to want the rest of our, if you wouldn't mind, well, I'll show it and then I'm going to ask you to do it. We're going to need the rest of this cut in half. So it works well to, not try to do too much at once. Maybe like 3 pulls. Cut in half. Kyla's going to do that for me. Won't take too long. There's not that much.
Does it need to be
much left.
Reblended?
No. And then you're going to want, the core is in the base of the shingle. So you're going to want, actually probably just split that in half and then pull some little sections. And then these, it's nice to have them ready to go. These go right into your fur. So what it looks like is you take a section about 1 inch of fiber. Let the fringe hang over the area that you want to cover. In this case, where the black starts on the tail. Like that. Felt the center 1/3. So the center of that strip, this is where the core goes, in line, in the same line as the fur. And I'm sorry, it's black on black. It gets a little hard to see, but I know you're going to find your way with this. Felt that whole area, that whole center 1/3, then fold the top third down. And now you have a rolled edge. That's the top of your shingle. And that's the next spot that you're going to want to slightly overlap with your next shingle. Now, since we've gotten to a wider place here, she's like, huh? Since we've gotten to a wider place here, I'm going to put 2 side by side. Don't try to do too much fiber at once. That's when you kind of get away from it really overlapping well and sticking well. So I'm letting the bottom third overlap that last piece, and the center third gets felted. It comes right to where that last piece ended. fold the top third over and stab it. Look, I've gone another almost whole inch. So yeah, with this technique, you're going to cover a little more than a square inch at a time. And all the fiber is pointing in the right direction. You know, that's the direction their feathers are going. Oh, the door is open. You think it's okay? It's probably okay. So everything is getting like really locked down now.
Their feathers are very large.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to know because you can't really see them, you know.
They were extremely fashionable in the late 19th and early 20th centuries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, women had them on their hats and everything.
They're loose, soft, and smooth. They don't hook together the way feathers of other birds do.
They're really beautiful. I'm sure you've seen them before. All right, we're gonna flip her over and go start on the back.
I think I had one when I was little.
Yeah, I feel like I've had them before too.
Like, I feel like I used to pretend it was a pin. Like a plume.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They were used, the quill was used as a pin.
Yeah, it makes me think of Peter Pan for some reason. I don't know why. All right, let's get her not quite so. So after going, you know, this way, you got to set these shingles in slightly different directions to bring it all together here. But you just keep working your way from back to front, section at a time.
Ostrich feathers can be dyed, curled, or straightened. So it's more like hair, like the feather part.
Yeah, I guess so. If they don't have all the little grabby filaments that would hold them together. You want one underneath the wing, kind of coming down over the top of the leg. In fact, I think they're bald all through here. But we're not going to do it that way. I think they're bald, like all from the top of their leg up through that. Okay. Remember how I was saying that the back of their arm is all exposed? but we're gonna give them a little coverage.
This is saying there has been a big movement to source ostrich feathers responsibly.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're still popular, but it can be done in a way that's not cruel.
Good. Yeah, I mean, you know, we see things that are magnificent and then like want to have them.
Mm-hmm.
So I've worked my way towards the front. And I want to go right up to that black that we put on the neck. And then I have a little technique just to pull that together. So I probably have 2 more shingles. And when we use this technique, all of the core is encased in the, you don't see it because it's all in the center of these fur pieces. But it does a trick of holding it down as well as coloring any gray areas black. But when you're finished, you can look around, like turn it around and see if you missed any spots. You can always throw another piece in there. See if you have any bald spots. Like if I really lift this up, you know, I have a bald spot, but really it's going to be smoothed down like that. So I'm okay with that spot. Just got this one more here.
A lot of fluffing.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of stabbing. Didn't take too long. What's this been? 20 minutes maybe? Okay. Now to smooth out where the neck comes out here, I want to take some of the fur, cut it in half again, and just blend it with some core so that I have a mix to kind of pull these 2 sections together. And then just take that and go right around the neck. Let's see what I got here. And let the fringe come down onto all of the shingling that you did. So that makes that transition a lot more subtle. Now, as usual, you know, we're just sitting here, not on the clock. There's, you know, maybe a little more stabbing I would do to smooth things out and really refine. But as you guys know, we can stab all day. So yeah, so you could reverse needle around her head. You could take the oats or the blue roan and just, you know, add little wisps and details. Their markings look all different kinds of ways. But the last thing that we want to do is get a little bit of cold wax onto the beak and the toes. Yeah, it looks cute.
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of refining to do. So I just use my fingers and get a nice little bit and just load it on there.
His toes are picking up all the fluff.
I know. It's like kicking all kinds of stuff around. I've knocked a needle off the table about 3 times today. So this will dry clear. And once it's on its way to drying, you can really shape, really kind of press in here and shape the beak if it feel like it needs a little more pointiness. And then on the toes, we just want to get these toenails well polished here. Their feet are like really skin-like, but I haven't been swaxing the whole foot. Because then where do you stop? Like, I don't want to do the whole leg, you know. We're near the end. Do you have any other amazing things to share?
Not really. I did look up ostrich poop.
Oh, tell me about that.
I don't know what got me thinking about that, but something we were talking about.
I'm sure something very serious and scientific.
Something. Well, they're one of the only, if not the only bird that actually separates out the urination and the defecation.
Oh, yes. Like chickens, they're doing it all. And the egg.
All in one.
All in one hole. I mean, it's amazing. I remember when I had hens, like going out to get eggs and just looking at them and being like, you're amazing. Like, they make, to generate that every day.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
Like, yeah.
It is crazy. And now, of course, I can't find the spot I was on. But yes, most birds just...
Yes.
Only ostriches
have
among
different
birds are able to poop and pee separately. That is how we're finishing.
Yeah. Apropos. I feel like I might have ostrich eggs in the back. Maybe they're emu eggs. I think they're emu eggs. They're huge.
Yeah, ostrich eggs.
I'm a mess. I just thought I could get that cold wax right off my hand.
An average egg weighs 3 pounds.
That is a heavy baby.
Mm-hmm.
3rd ostrich down, Milo.
Very impressive.
I officially have a herd. 3 is a collection, you know.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to see if I can get that one to stand right there.
Good luck.
It's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is what we made. I had a thought. Now I'm forgetting what it was.
It's been a long day.
Yeah. Well, they're fun to pose, especially their little head and neck. And I can't wait to see who makes goggles and helmet, and to see your guys' ideas on the setting. And I think it would be a good project to fix onto like some kind of
piece of wood or something.
Setting. Yeah, here, come over here, just a little bit. Okay, and also I think you could even get away with 1 foot, so then the other foot could be, doing different things. Could be running, could be putting his head in the sand.
They don't really do that.
I know. Sometimes they go like that. Yeah, all kinds of ways. So, what else do we need to tell everybody about the ostrich?
Well, just we'd like to see them on Fanfare.
Oops. Yeah, we'd like to see them on Fanfare. So please share there. And I hope you had a great time. I sure did. Just exploring this bird further was really fun. But then getting to pull it all together and make the tutorial. And then we're going to still have fun with it, seeing everybody's projects. So good times.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.